So what are some of the things that you probably should consider about your rig if you're going to be full-time, whether you stay in an RV park or you like to boondock? We're going to kind of go over some of those during this video. Hey everyone, welcome to Tigner Adventures. This is David, my wife Ninette, and our little cat Tansy. We live full-time in our rig. And so today I wanted to kind of give you an insight into some of the things that we thought about that we probably think that we need when we're actually going to be living in our rig. Now, this could be whether we're just boondocking in our rig or we're living in an RV park. We normally try to boondock every place that we go. We really don't like paying for staying in a park. Most of them we just feel like it's just too much money. And if you've been following our 1,000 Trails series, you'll know that we were given a 1,000 Trails membership, and so we have stayed in parks for most of this summer. And it's really been kind of different, and so it's kind of the first 3 years we've been boondocking the majority of the time, and then this last little bit we've been staying in RV parks. And I have to tell you, we really do prefer to boondock more than staying in an RV park. So how do you make your rig set up so that you can boondock and have the same type of functionality that you basically have in an RV park? Now, I'm going to go through a bunch of different things today. I'm going to show you some different items and things, and I just want to make a note and just be upfront with you that there are links in our comment section to the Amazon products that we've purchased and that we use. Okay, so if you happen to use those links, yeah, we get a little bit of a percentage. It doesn't cost you anything for using them, but we do get something for that time. So if you do that, we appreciate your support and thank you very much. Don't feel that you have to do that. I just want to make sure. A lot of times I watch videos and they talk about something and it's like, oh, I want to see what that is, and then they don't have a reference to it. So at least you have a reference. You can go look it up and look for yourself. Whether you buy that or you decide not even to go that way, that's perfectly, that's up to you. So when we're talking full timing, there's certain things that you need to take into account. First of all, we're all used to living in a house. We have a lot of different comforts that we took for granted. When it comes to full timing in a motorhome, there's a lot of things that you don't have anymore. And one of the things that I always tell people, if they are thinking about full timing and they're trying to convince their partner, maybe their partner's not on board yet, whatever the case may be, you need to make your full-time adventure basically the same as if you were living in a house as far as convenience goes. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple of those different things and just kind of show you some of the things that we looked at and making sure that my wife felt comfortable living in the motorhome, and that she now loves it. And this is our adventure. We do this all the time. We're going on 4 years now, so we've really enjoyed it. And it's because we think of things that how do we make life? This isn't a vacation for us. Okay, we're not trying to rough it. This is our life, and we do still like the comforts of home, and our motorhome is our home, and so we want some different comforts that we have. I think one of the things that really makes people uneasy when boondocking is feeling safe. All right, so I think one of the things that you have to think about is security. Now, here's some lights that I have on the side of my rig. They automatically come on if anybody approaches, and they probably come on about 15 feet away, whether it's an individual or it's animals or whatever the case may be. Okay, they come on and light up the area so that we can kind of see what's going on. And so I think that having some good security lights is a good option for your security. We also have some things in our rig to help protect ourselves, and everyone should have something. Okay, whatever you feel is comfortable to you as far as the type of force that you may want to use. Okay, so that's a personal thing, and I'm not going to get into that part of it. But security is an important thing that you got to consider. The other thing that we've really been seriously looking at is getting a camera system. And so we've been looking at those for quite a while now, and we're trying to narrow it down to something that we feel good about. But it is nice to be able to look on your phone and see who's at the door, or maybe you hear something outside and you can at least look on the cameras to see is there something out there, or is it just your imagination? So, but that security stuff is really, really important. And you know, if you don't have peace of mind, no matter where you're staying, whether it's in an RV park or out boondocking, then you cannot enjoy the experience. So in our particular case, our rig is fully self-contained, and so we don't need to be anywhere. We can be completely off-grid, and it doesn't matter because we have solar, we have batteries, we have a generator. Okay, those things make life, that's part of our home comforts, you know, having power. Okay, and the power, the solar that we have, I'll do a video. I wanted to do a video on our whole solar and power setup to give you a little bit better idea how that's all done, because it is quite extensive. It'll take a little bit of time to kind of explain it, so I don't want to do it here. I just want to tell you that we do have solar. In our particular case, we got 1200 watts of solar. We have 6 volt Trojan batteries, so that gives us about 300 amp hours of power that we can use in powering the rig. Typically, throughout a day's use, we usually use about 180 to 200 amp hours of power, and that's between all of our computers. We have a lot of different hard drives that we use. We have big computers and laptop things, so we're constantly working on things and doing things, and our power needs are going to be different than yours, but this particular setup suffices with our power needs. And so we're completely, fully self-contained in that sense as far as power is concerned. And that power is for lights, it's for any type of equipment that you want to run. Okay, our smoker, all of that stuff uses power to operate, and so we have to make sure that we have enough power. So in our particular case, 1200 watts of solar takes care of our batteries, our 6 12-volt batteries. Lead acid batteries at $100 a piece is pretty difficult to pass up for getting yourself on the road quickly and inexpensively. So just think about that as you're working on your systems. Lead acid batteries take maintenance, so if you look right here, you can see that the maintenance, this video I did on our battery maintenance and things like that, and kind of show you how that all works, so that you kind of have an idea if that's the route that you want to go. So you do want to have a generator, because you know, if it happens right now it's nice and sunny, but for the last 2 days it's been pretty rainy, and so there may come a time where you have to actually charge your batteries a little bit. If you remember the incident we had in our video that was for Pacific City 1000 Trails, we had an issue with the power, and that was because we just weren't getting enough power to our rig, and consequently that's what burned up our microwave. And so power is really important. So it's important that we test it, and we have some ways of protecting ourselves when it comes to power. And this is mainly going to be when you stay in RV resorts, because if you're out boondocking, then you're on your own inverter and you're getting your own power, and it's all in-house, everything's perfect, no big deal. Okay, but when you're in an RV resort, then you need to use some kind of a surge protector. This is a fairly inexpensive one. Besides a surge protector that actually surges, so if something happens and there's a surge that comes through the line, then a surge protector protects your rig and whatever else you have within that rig. So that's good for surges, but that doesn't do any good for what they call brownouts. All right, so what we were having at Pacific City was basically a brownout. The voltage was very low and a lot lower than what it should have been. So surge protectors don't protect you from that. So besides the surge protector, then you need to actually check the power, and a lot of people use one of these little 3 light thingies to check their power. And so if I plug this into this power pole at this point, you can see that I have 2 yellow lights here. I don't know if you can see those, but they're lit. And so if I look at my little diagram here, it says if I have 2 yellow ones and the red one is not lit up, then everything is wired correct. Okay, that's good. And it's important to have it wired correct, but that's all this little tester tells you, all right? And so that's really not everything that you really need to know. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, and I mentioned this in my video with the 1000 Trails video, that I have this little digital monitor, and this is actually a digital tester, so it goes a lot further than just those lights. So I'm going to actually plug that in. Whoops, that did stay in very good, huh? Okay, So, all right, so I've plugged that in. So this is going a little bit further now, all right? Remember that other little lights said it was wired correct. Well, this guy checks to see if it's wired correct. And if it's not, then it tells you within the little display that things aren't wired correct, so then you know it. I was at one RV resort, I plugged this in, it said I had no ground, all right? And, you know, this would say the same thing. This little open, it says you'd have only one light instead of two lights. So, you know, that's nothing, you know, that the cheapy one wouldn't do. This is a little bit more. It's like $50 or 60 bucks, something like that. But anyway, this tells us that our frequency is at 60 megahertz, all right? Our voltage right now is at 118, all right? So we're seeing a little bit more information about what's going on. And if there was a fault, it would be telling us that there was a fault with the wiring and everything. So this is what you need to actually do. And I didn't do it. I got a little lazy at Pacific City and just plugged in thinking everything's great, and it really wasn't. So, and it was just because we were on solar, running off our batteries and things, and at night I noticed that we hadn't got any production all day long, and we had been running our refrigerator off there too, so we were really low on the battery, so I just ran out and plugged into the pole and really didn't think much of it. So that's my excuse, and I'm going to stick with it. So anyway, this little tester is really very helpful. So that's something that you should really invest in and look at. We also have this UPS system. It's up in our cabinet where we stack all of our electronics, and this controls our TVs. Everything is all on this UPS. The thing that's nice about this is it's a pure sine wave UPS. So it means that what's going out to the plugs, out to the units, is all pure sine wave. And it's making sure that that sine wave stays perfect all the time. And the same way with our inverter that we installed on our system, our solar system, the inverter we put in is a pure sine wave inverter. Don't go with these modified sine waves. You will have problems if you put those modified sine wave inverters in. They are good for certain things. I mean, they'll work fine for fans and things like that, or lights or whatever, but your electronics are a little pickier than that. When we first started, we ordered from this company, pretty reputable, and we ordered an inverter, and we put it in. It was a 3,000 watt inverter, and it acted so weird. You know, I couldn't change the channels on the TV. I couldn't, my mouse wouldn't work right on my iMac. It was just weird little things. And then one day my wife turned the vacuum on just as I was messing around with the TV, and the channels started changing. So then we realized that, hey, if the vacuum's on, I can change channels. So weird. So now I got to change the channels. I turn the vacuum on, I change the channel I want, I turn the vacuum off. That is a crappy setup, I tell you. So, and when I talked to the company about it, they said this is a pure sine wave inverter. It has to be something that you're doing wrong. You've got something wired wrong. And I sent them a diagram of what I wired. It's like, how do you wire an inverter wrong? You know, it's just the battery coming in and the AC coming out. That's it, period. You know, and so I ended up sending that back. So I bought a different inverter, a pure sine wave inverter, okay? This video here is the unboxing of that unit, and we plugged it in. We have been using that for, well, going on 4 years. That was the first thing that we got. And it's worked so well, and it is pure sine wave. Everything has worked perfect after that. So that other company, I lost so much money on that deal, they would not give me my money back. They said, no, it's working the way it's supposed to. And it's like, well, it's obviously that it doesn't, because I took this other one in, put it in exactly the same way, and it's worked flawless for 4 years now. So just be aware of that, but make sure that you get a pure sine wave inverter that makes all your electronics, all your AC type stuff happy. So I've got this nice little water bladder. If you look right here, that I bought on Amazon. This one holds 60 gallons, but you can pick whatever you want. But I can lay my back seats down in my car and lay this out, and I would go down to the city parks and places like that, and I would just fill that up and then come back and pump that into my tank. So it was nice that I could keep my tanks full without having to keep moving my rig. So having a water bladder that you can pick up water is really, really handy. And since we're talking about good water, I wanted to point out our filtering system that we use. We have this two-stage filter system here, which is a little different than like the little Camco blue little cylinders you buy to hook to your rig, or you see that a lot of people have that all the time. This particular filtering system has, over here is a sediment filter, and over here is a carbon filter, and it filters clear down to 0.5 micron. You can get them smaller than that, but you really don't want to, because then you wouldn't really get much of a water throughput. So, but we do do that with this system down to 0.5 micron. We also have over here a pressure regulator, so that we have it set at 40 psi, meaning some of the places we go to get water can just be out in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes they put out a lot of pressure, and so you really need to have a regulator, even in a park. A lot of RV parks, have a lot of high pressure areas, and so everyone should always have some type of regulator, and so we do have that here. And so that system runs through, and you can see right here that this, I put a clear cylinder on here because I kind of wanted to watch the sediment filter and see what's kind of going on. This was nice and clear, and like I mentioned in our video at Pacific City, after I filled up our tanks there, it turned red from all the sand that was in the water. You don't want that in your rig. So we have this filter system, plus we have another one that is on the cold water line that's under our sink to filter the water that way too. Now, a lot of people use Berkeley, and that's good, but the problem with any type of filtering system to us is that that's something else that we got to keep track of and put away and things like that. And you fill it up and you let it filter through. That's all great. All right. Most places that we go, though, we have really good water. Okay, other than Arizona, where we're staying most of the time now. And so Arizona, if you've ever tasted their water, it is salty to the taste, and it has high mineral content. And you'll see a lot of these water stations everywhere, and everybody goes and they buy their water. So I can buy 5 gallons of RO water for 50 cents, and we typically take 5 1-gallon jugs over, fill them up, and that lasts us for about a week of drinking water. And that's what we do our coffee and whatever we make with water that we drink. That's what we do, because we don't want to have that salt content in us. So you could get around doing that, I guess, if you wanted to buy a Berkeley to do that, but we've chose not to do that. That's an extra expense that we don't want to do, and a lot of people do, and that's fine. We don't have a problem with that. We're just saying that we don't have that. We have this filter system, and we have the one that's under our sink. And then in extreme cases, when we're down in Arizona and they have a high mineral content water, then we do just buy bottled water, or in this case, it's at a kiosk, and you just fill your jugs up. So anyway, and then also I wanted to mention, this is a quick connect. We put these on all our hoses. We love these because all of our water hoses have these on. And if you just pull this, like if you look on here, I have an end that's on the side of the hose here, and I can just pull this and snap it on there, and it's on. I'm not sitting there screwing things in and everything. So all of our hoses have those. We can clip on the hose. We can actually extend the hose out. We have multiple hoses we can put together real quick because we have all these extensions on there. So those are, when it comes to water, this is how our setup is, and it works really great for us. We also use this type of hose, which is classified drinking water hose, compared to the little white ones that you can buy that are a lot cheaper. These are a lot more expensive, but they have this spring on here to kind of protect the nozzle. Also, it's a little heavy dutier, and it kind of works a lot better in the light, being out in the sunlight all the time. So just an extra little cost that we've done, but these hoses have been really nice. We really enjoy them. You don't want to use a regular garden type hose, because then you get the taste of the hose in your water system. And so we use this because it's actually classified for drinking water. So one of the things that Ninette really loves is her microwave. And if you watched our microwave video where we just replaced our microwave, you'll understand that that was a little bit of a sore spot when that quit after 3 years, because everything she does, she only takes minutes to prepare meals and things, but she uses the microwave for most of that. And then she also has a little toaster oven that does cooking too, because we don't actually have an oven in our rig. We just have a cooktop. So she mainly uses the oven, and she now has also picked up a Instant Pot. So she uses the Instant Pot, the oven, and the microwave to cook anything. And so those are kind of three things that were necessities for her to make her feel like she was at home, because she's always been able to use those type of appliances at home, and so she wanted to be able to still do that. And so these three items are a big plus for Ninette to make life comfortable for her and enjoyable, okay, so that she can actually handle all that stuff. So, and yes, she does the cooking for me. Okay, I do other things, so we do have our jobs kind of split apart. It's not just because she's a woman that she's doing all the cooking, but she does a really good job at it compared to me. And I can cook some things, but I'll tell you, she loves those shows like Chopped and things like that. She watches all these food shows, and she can take pretty much any type of ingredient and just instantly put it together and have a delicious meal in no time at all. And I'm not even close to that. So each of us have our strengths, and so I'm working on the rig and she works on those inside things, and that's kind of how you have to set it up, you know, and it really kind of depends. In our particular case, we're retired. If we were both working full-time jobs, then it would be completely different, and everybody is completely different. So you figure out the things that work best for you and what makes you guys happy in that particular sense. So another thing that it's important that you understand how an RV toilet works. All right, we are used to using a toilet in the house, and you just get up and you just push the little lever and it flushes the toilet. Life's good. There's usually nothing left behind, okay? RVs are a little different. First of all, they only have about this much water in the bowl as a normal setup, and that water is a barrier to make sure that that's sealed so no fumes come up from the black tank, okay? But if you're going to use that for, you know, doing your heavy business, your number two business, be nice about it, then it's important to put water, you know, fill that bowl up a little bit with water. And I did not explain that to my wife when we first started in the motorhome, and so she was very concerned about that. She did not like that toilet. She did not like that experience at all, and that was my fault. I should have explained to her how the toilet worked and how easy it was to add water. And then I've also added this little sprayer, and so that she could spray. So, like, you know, if you have toilet paper on the sides of the bowls and stuff like that, you can flush that toilet for a long time before it finally washes that toilet paper down. But if you have the sprayer, it's very easy just to spray things out, and it's all nice and clean. Things look really good. Not that your toilet is going to be spotless all the time, but it's a big help. So it's another one of those things to get them, your partners, you know, if they're a little, they don't like that as much, then it's an easy way to make it so it's a little bit more comfortable for them to use the toilet and things like that. So I think the biggest thing then, you know, with that in mind, is it's important to go through the rig and explain to your partner. If you're the one that understands everything, go through and explain every little thing to them so that they understand it. My wife had a difficult time with AC. Okay, when I said AC, she always thought about air conditioner. And I'd say, what's the AC? She had no clue. She didn't know, and that's not her fault. It's that she's never ever had to worry about that, right? I mean, in the house, we have AC power coming into the house, and everything is just there all the time. We don't ever worry because it's just there all the time. On a motorhome, we have to either turn the inverter on, or we have to plug in or something to be able to get AC power. And so, you know, that's so, and the battery level is important. You know, you don't want to run your batteries down too low. In our particular case, we can go down to 320 amp hours negative, and then we're supposed to charge up by that time. Okay, so it's important that if she's by herself, you know, and I've had to take off on a trip somewhere, that she knows how to look at those things because she's been educated to do that. And that's the important thing, because it's much easier to prevent issues than it is to in creating them, and because you did not explain things appropriately. So, and it just depends on which partner, you know, understands the whole system. that partner is the one that really needs to make sure the other person knows. All right, well, so I guess in conclusion on this video, I can just say that a happy partner is a happy life. And if you really love this type of lifestyle or really want to do it, both of you, if you have a partner, need to agree on how that's all going to work. Okay, if it's just you, life's easy because you're just making single decisions and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks because it's just you. But when you're trying to do this with a partner, then it's important to work out details with the partner ahead of time so that everybody feels comfortable. And if that's the case, then it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a fun little adventure that you're going to go out on and have a lot of fun with. So when people ask me, you know, I want a full-time, the biggest thing is to make sure that your partner's happy. Once that's done, then all the rest of it, I mean, sure, you're going to have issues, you know, you're going to have something break or whatever, but you know, if you all are on the same page, then life's pretty good. So with that, I want to just say thanks for watching, and I'm hoping that this gives you a little bit of insight as to, you know, getting started. We love full timing, and you know, I have to say, I don't want it to be for everyone, otherwise it wouldn't be as fun. But if this is something that you would love to do, then by all means do it, because you know, life's short. We don't have a long time to do everything, and so it's important to get out there and enjoy life and have these different adventures, because you never know when things are going to change. So with that said, I'm hoping that we'll see you down the road on our next adventure, and maybe even on one of our next videos.